Greetings and welcome to More the Podcast, a Youth of Christ International podcast. And I am your host, Martin Ainsworth. Pleasure to be here with you today. Thanks for listening. Some of you I know are watching. Today, I've got a guest who's flown in all the way from a hot land to join us in the international office that is also super hot at the moment. And that is Mr. Brandon Johnson.
Good to see you, Martin.
Good to see you.
You've also flown in from not hot land, I guess, but another island as well.
An island that is wet and damp and cold. So greetings. Good to have you here on the podcast.
Thanks. I'm excited to be here. I've heard all about it. All the other people that you've been grilling and putting through the Inquisition. So, yeah.
Thank you very much. We'll start with the official stuff of like, hey, what do you do? What's happening in your world? And then I'm sure there's going to be some awkwardness that flows from that. So, hey,
that's what you're known for, Martin.
I know, awkward, and I'll keep it as unawkward.
I would appreciate that.
You're welcome. Thank you. So, Brandon, I know you got a fancy title. So, what is your title, and what do you do?
Yeah, if I can remember it all, it's Director of Young Leader Development.
Okay.
So I am working with young leaders, and this is a new initiative that kind of is more recent. In the past couple of years, we've really been trying this. Young leaders have always been important to Youth for Christ, but we are beginning to spend a little bit more time, effort, and resources on developing our young leaders, which is exciting. And I am not alone in this endeavor. I have a team of 4 amazing people. And they are the ones who are doing the bulk of the work, and they are the superheroes, I say, in young leader development. And so we've got Luciana in the Americas, Marika and Amina, Susan in Africa, and Jason in the Asia Pacific. And right now, 2 of them are already running a young leader program in the Americas and in Africa. And then this autumn, EMENA and Asia Pacific their goal is to launch. And so it's an exciting time. So by the end of the year, the goal is that all 4 areas of Youth for Christ will have a young leader program running. So.
Fantastic. And you now, am I right in thinking that you're doing quite a major launch event where you're bringing together 2 or 3 young leaders and locking them in a room and then educating them in the ways of being a super young
Jedi Knight. Yeah. So at GA this year, we are having a major young leader event, and it's quite unique on one hand. But you mentioned 2 or 3, and if you add a couple zeros to the end of that, it's just going to be a small party. No, we're looking at having around 300 young leaders in GA, and one of the things that I'm excited about isn't just the number; it's also the number of countries that will be represented, and it's an amazing group that will be bringing together the diversity, the cultures, the different YFC programs that will be represented is exciting. And so my team, a lot of our time right now is kind of planning and getting ready for that event, and we're excited because in the past GA's kind of been its own standalone thing where every other one we bring young leaders. But the idea now is that GA will become a part of the area programs, and this in the future will be, something that young leaders who've been a part of the program in the previous 3 years will now come to GA and celebrate what God has done in their lives and their leadership development. This one's a little different because we've got 2 programs that haven't launched yet. So it's it's a celebration of some of the young leaders, but it's also like a launch of those beginning.
Okay.
So it should be an exciting time.
I mean, that is absolutely amazing to hear because I know, like you say, the Young Leader program has almost been like a standalone event, and people come, they do, and then they disperse. But it sounds like you want to build a community where they not only come to an event, they continue their kind of like their journey with each other. And I'm not going to say under supervision, it's like under inspiration. So they're actually like inspired to do better. They can then form little learning communities within themselves, but have the wisdom of these 4 area leaders and some fun. So that sounds very kind of like progressive.
For sure, man. it's one of the things that I'm most excited about, because you talk to anybody who's been to GA before and you go, what do you remember most? Say it's even one like 12 years ago. What do you remember most? And on average, I'm guessing it's not going to be training, like a workshop. No offense to workshops. Mike, keep working hard at them. Everybody loves them. They learn a lot. But what you talk to people, what do you remember? And they go, I remember this one lunch that I had with so-and-so from this nation.
Yep.
And I was just blown away with what they were doing and it was so humbling. And then I'm still in contact with that person. So that's what I want. With young leaders, there's going to be talks from stage, there's going to be workshops, there's going to be different activities. At the end of the day, those are important. But what I'm hoping is the young leaders leave with a group of people that they didn't know ahead of time, who are from various parts of the Youth for Christ family, who now they will maintain contact with. Let's say they run into, man, I've got this challenge I'm facing this week. We've got club Friday night. Oh, I remember my friend from that one country, they talked about something similar, and they can email them or WhatsApp or whatever and get a hold. And just even when they're struggling, to be able to reach out to somebody else for prayer or whatever from another part of the world. That's what I'm really hoping with the Young Leader program at GA.
Well, that sounds absolutely fantastic. I mean, I'm also really excited because we've just been talking to a few of the other guys on the podcast, and they talk about the next generation, those that are coming up into leadership and how things are different, but we still need solid foundations. We still need a community that we're part of and people that we can talk to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what I'm really kind of hopeful for with these young leader programs in each of the areas. And, one of the cool things about the young leader program is each areas will be a little unique. We're not using a cookie cutter model, because somebody doing ministry in Thailand has different needs and is meeting different challenges than somebody in Colombia or Rwanda. And so each area is developing kind of this foundation that you're talking about. What is the foundation that we need here locally, and how do we help each young leader develop that? But at the same time, it will be a similar experience no matter where they are in the world. And so even at like GA, our talks in the mornings are on our core values. And so, if it doesn't matter which nation in the over 100 nations we're in, you need to be rooted in the core values of who we are as an organization. And so that's another, thing we're hoping will come out of this GA.
I'm excited. So if somebody wants to start a young leader program in a nation, we already have heard many times that General Assembly is sold out. Mm-hmm. There is no more room. I believe you almost have your own hotel that you are filled with young leaders. Don't tell anybody. Okay. So how does somebody get in touch with you if they're interested in developing their own young leader program?
Yeah. So the best way, if a nation is interested, would be to contact the area coordinator. And so those are the 4 people that I mentioned earlier in the podcast. And, that's one of the things too is, and we've already had this where we have nations who are going, we've got some things we're doing ourselves. And what we tell them is, that's amazing. We don't want you to stop it. We want to support you. We would also then love some of your young leaders to participate in our area program, because what they're going to get is this multicultural development of their leadership and learn things maybe from a different perspective that they wouldn't get if it was just within the nation. But at the same time, we have some nations who are doing incredible jobs at developing young leaders. And so if you are a nation that wants to begin to do that within country, contact one of the area coordinators, and they can, have a conversation with you, walk alongside what that might look like. They've already made mistakes, they've learned some things, so they want to help you succeed. And so, contact one of the area coordinators.
Fantastic. Brandon Johnson, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. It's been a pleasure speaking to you.
It's been a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me, Martin.
Do you have any final words of wisdom before we close?
Final words of wisdom?
Oh,
man. Oh, you caught me on the spot, man. I don't know. Think before you stink.
Oh.
That's what I tell my children. Think before you stink.
So if you're in a room with 299 other young leaders, think before you stink.
Yeah, it's more a reference to our lives can be a pleasing aroma to God.
Ah, okay.
Or it can be so Think before you stink.
You've just enlightened me that I was thinking it was...
Well, you can use it multiple ways.
Okay.
Go your direction too. Yeah, put on deodorant when you're going to be at GA. Make sure you shower in the mornings. The people around you will appreciate that.
I just love the fact that I went to Breaking Wind and you just went straight in for spiritual guidance.
There you go.
I think you are the absolute perfect person to lead 300 young minds, to be leaders in the organization, to be godly people. Whereas if I was at the front, I'd be encouraging them not to break wind.
Hey, I think both of those are needed. So
excellent.
We make a good team.
Excellent. Thank you very much. All right. Thank you very much, Brandon.
All right. Cheers, Martin.
And thanks you guys for listening. And some of you have watched, and I look forward to you hearing us and us seeing your comments in future podcasts.